In a world desperate to tear itself apart, only one man, and some other people, stand in the way of total destruction. Together they will right the wrongs, make bad good, and single-handedly destroy evil, together. Who is this man, you may ask? This man is Geoff.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Geoff Jones and Friends Make It Better, the show that takes life's little annoyances, adds some dramatic music, nuance and half stories, sells it to Netflix as a documentary, and quite simply makes it better. Today I am delighted to welcome our first ever repeat guest, author Tim Hardie. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Geoff. How are you doing?
I am not too bad at all, thank you. The sun is shining, the birds are singing for at least the next 12 minutes until it starts raining again. With that, you know the score, Tim. You've been here before. I can't remember what was it we moaned about before. Oh, it was electronics, wasn't it? And about
electronics and technology was my previous gripe, and I think we pretty much sorted that, didn't we?
We did, by leaving it to the younger generation.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, let them sort it out. Although I have realised since then they can't figure out how to work a washing machine, so we may need to revisit at some point.
Yeah, that might be purely tactical, though, might
Do you know what? Yeah, 100% tactical. I think you're right there. But okay, without further ado, what is it that we are making better today?
Well, today I'd like to discuss the hot topic of book promotion, actually, because in essence, I think it's every author's worst nightmare. So I'm looking to you to try and help us work through that knotty problem. It's
gonna be impossible because I released a book and then was just like, where's there now? So we're gonna have, what was it you find most difficult?
Well, I think the most difficult bit of book promotion is probably book promotion in its entirety. I mean, if you're an author, if you're anything like me, and then obviously you are an author, so you probably are quite like me from that point. Obviously, writing is quite a solitary activity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not normally a joint endeavour. You're typing away on your own, in your own little world, producing a particular piece. In my case, I was doing that for 15 years before I ever went anywhere near releasing a book. And all that time, it's nice, it's peaceful, it's quiet, all the rest of it. And then you get to the point of publishing, which is the stage you've just described. And then you're in for quite a rude awakening because all of a sudden you realise that there's a really brutal truth out there that a lot of people that talk about writing lots, they don't mention this other side, which is no one knows you exist except your mum. And that is, it's just, if no one's heard of you, no one will buy your book. And so you realise, well, I'm going to have to promote this thing. So that's the solution to your problem. Yeah. But actually, most authors, if they've got my personality traits, are very ill-equipped to actually then go about book promotion to sort of make that next leap and convert availability into anyone being bothered, which is a crucial difference.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, because when I say I wrote a bit and put it out there, because that's all I did. My promotion was, "Hi everyone, it's here now. I've been talking about it long enough. Just buy it." And then some close friends and family and a few a small handful, but that's where I left it. It's almost like, I don't know. It was, I didn't really know what to do apart from, I don't know, tweet about it every so often, but that's not engaging. Like, how do you, have you figured it out? Are you figuring it out?
Well, yeah, I think you basically have to overcome some of these ingrained. I think what you've just described is a very British launch. So, we have done a thing, it is available, and then one considers the job is done. It really has only just started. I think that's the brutal reality. So I think with especially being, I think all authors struggle with this, but I think if you're British, we have got that very ingrained trait that we don't really like to lavish praise upon our creations and our endeavours and our achievements. In fact, if anything, people that do that in Britain are considered quite rude. And probably if there was an uprising, they would be. They would be one of the first to be killed, wouldn't they? But so it's almost a case, and I can sort of relate to it. You'd rather destroy the creation than share it with another person and say it was good. That there's almost that sort of perverse side to this where
It's
that trait is so strong, you don't actually want to open yourself up to that criticism. You'd rather keep it quiet than be seen to be praising yourself.
exactly. So there's a couple of parts, and it's a mesh of so many different things. There is that, first of all, I said that kind of the British launch of if you do talk to someone about it, say all the time you talk about writing it, and you can have that excitement because it's not real. You say to people, and people say, "Oh, that's a great idea. I love that idea. Me too. That's why I'm writing the book." And all that time, unless they say, "Oh, can I read what you've got?" and you say, "Oh no, it's far. I can't do that," then it's everything and nothing. It's Schrodinger's manuscript. It's brilliant, it's rubbish, it's everything in between, but you can call it whatever you want, and the idea you think is great, you can talk about it with passion. Then it becomes kind of real, and everything changes, and people say, "Oh, did you finish that book?" "Oh, yes, I did actually." And then, "Oh, where can I buy it?" "Oh, well, I wouldn't like to put you out. Like, if it's here, you can buy it. You can buy it from this website that I've spent money to put up, and I've had some of it, and the whole process, which has taken hours and hours of my time, loads of money, is now here. But I don't think only if you want to go on, you can buy a copy." But never talk to me about it ever again, because I was living absolute fear of criticism and judgment, and you don't like it, and this is my whole world. And so you just kind of stop and don't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that thing of make it really difficult to find is another classic, isn't it? Sort of why post the link when you can just post a picture that no one can do anything with? Make it difficult for people to buy that product.
Really fight for it.
Yeah, and I think I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's about that fear of criticism, isn't it? Writing a book is a lovely thing, and everyone goes, "Oh, jolly well done! You're very creative, aren't you?" Having a physical product that somebody can then read, and then we'll have an obviously. What we're afraid of here is people having an opinion of it, aren't we? And obviously, you want people to love it, but what if they don't? And that fear, in essence, is what counters effective book promotion. Again, what you're describing here is probably one of the worst book promotion efforts I've ever seen, if I'm being brutally honest, Geoff. We need to have a chat afterwards about your stats, because they're clearly not. It's not working for you, this, is it?
There's a reason why I now do a podcast, and
oh,
I don't promote my podcast either. So that's the thing, though. It is just this kind of imposter syndrome. This like I did. I mean, to be 100%. So I've kind of got my what class is my adult book that I'm writing, and this is a labor of love that's been going on. And I pick it up and I put it down. I pick it up and I put it down, and I'm quite happy with that as it rolls. And I don't know, in another 20 years, maybe I'll put the final full stop on. But by that time, there'll be no such thing as reading, and we'll just communicate through telepathy. But so
we should circle round back to that on a future episode, because no one's told me this is happening, Geoff.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's known within certain circles, along with the lizard people. Yeah,
okay.
But what I did was because I kind of found it also quite stressful, just kind of keep going back to the same manuscript. So I wrote a standard, just a short children's book, which is shit. 6, which is shit. No, that's not. I meant so. Which is 6. That's a very difficult sentence to say. So this is why I'm not good at promoting my book. Just tell everyone it's shit. No. So which is 6 short stories. It's 100 and something pages long. It's not big, but every story is like linked to another, but purely by what someone's wearing. Yeah, all these other things. So I had done the first 5 stories within a year, and it took me about 18 months to do the final story. And it was only because I was having someone was helping with illustrations because I can't draw photography, and it was that person was very much, come on, do it, it's good, do it, yeah. And I had my mum and stepdad. My stepdad, so they was doing illustration, and they're like, it's good, just do it,
Yeah.
and it kind of literally pushed me over the line, because it would probably still be sat there, because I was getting to the point of, oh, this could be a real thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to tell people about it. So I just didn't. No, but do you know what I mean? I mean, how do you? So you've got books out there, and you keep going, and you keep putting books out there. Are you how much do you promote the work you've already got out there?
Well, I suppose, yeah. How do you do that? You're right. First of all, what you said, you mentioned the word imposter syndrome, and these are all facets of that make it really difficult to get something creative out into the world. Definitely. I think, how do I deal with it? You just have to do it. There is no other choice. If you actually want to sell books, then you have to put some effort into selling books. I know this is not this is, I mean, this is groundbreaking, revelatory stuff we're doing now. But I think it's that willingness to share and to be confident in what you're doing. You have to. I think part of the problem is, even that just the process of creating a book has a negative element to it, because if you're anything like me, I went through probably about 10 edits of each novel in terms of going through it. I self-edit, which is probably another way of actually increasing my level of imposter syndrome. So I always think, if you haven't got to the point where you absolutely loathe the novel by the time you finish editing it, you've not done the job properly. But that does mean you feel quite ambivalent about it when you get to the point of release, because you've seen every flaw. You know how bad it was, and obviously through the process of working on it, it becomes better. But it's very hard to sometimes shake the feeling of, God, that first cut was just dross, and that almost infects then each kind of each sort of iteration as you're gradually improving it. But yeah, you just have to do it. I think you have to learn to not be afraid of criticism, I think, is the way to look at it. And obviously I'd love every single person out there to think that a book written by Tim Hardie is absolutely brilliant, or a book written by Geoff Jones, for that matter. Everyone would love it. The reality is, not every author is a fit for every reader.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I had to first sort of understand was, you're not writing for everyone, you're writing for your audience. And so your audience, the people that like the voice you have as a writer, and they like the stories you tell. But if they don't know you exist, you're not going to reach them. So actually, what you're trying to sell them something that they actually want. And as soon as I made that mental leap, that it's not about making loads of people buy a book and pushing it out there just for sales. It's about finding an audience.
Yeah.
And if you think about it in that way, you're not being the pushy salesman. What you're actually doing here is being you're helping your audience find books they love. And I think you have to turn that mindset around from being, it's awful and I hate it, I don't want to have anything to do with this, and what if they don't like it, to, well, if they don't like it, they weren't your audience, and that's good, because actually now they know they don't need, they don't like your stuff, that's fine, they will go on to something else. But if you don't make the effort, you'll never find the readers that do love your stuff. And that for me was a bit of a mental turning point, actually, where I got a bit more, I suppose, just a bit more confident that there's a reason why I'm doing this, and it's for a good reason. It's actually giving people an artistic product that they actually enjoy consuming. It took me a long time to get there, and I still completely panic, by the way. But I'm so cool, and I know exactly what I'm doing. I do not, and I frequently have moments of utter panic and terror on this. But that's how I'm overcoming it, but by looking at it that way.
That is a really good way, because it's obvious, isn't it? But you do need to really lay it out like that. For me, it's probably the first time I've realized that actually my children's book isn't for my friends who are 40. It's for their kids. And actually their kids, I mean, I got some nice reviews from the kids, and that's like, oh yeah, great. But actually I still had this thing of, well, my friend will judge. But actually, that's the thing. It doesn't matter. It's not for them. I'm sure the hours of Peppa Pig they watch isn't for them. It's for their kids. So if they like Peppa Pig or not is by the by. But promotion then. So what? So you're getting out there at the moment. I mean, what does that look like? I mean, how much? You're obviously, you're talking to me, and I'm sure it's just because you enjoy my company.
Yes.
But what else is you doing? And
absolutely.
Yes. And
sorry, I should have been more forthcoming straight away. Yes, Geoff, I love these chats we do, and I'd love to do more of them. Yeah. But only if I have something to sell. Clearly,
yes. Only if there's a book coming. But how far out of your comfort zone are you going, kind of to promote your work?
Yeah, it's interesting. I suppose even getting on social media for me was a massive step. Again, I basically was a writer in a cave in a solitary world for many. When I mentioned 15 years of writing, probably, what would that be? Probably 14 of those years were me not engaging in any form of social media, not picking up stuff like these sort of conversations to even understand the problems and the challenges that were to come, actually. So I think, getting onto social media was a big step for me. And again, I thought, well, why will they want to talk again? Why will they want to talk to me? They won't want to interact with me. I'm nobody. I'm nothing. My work is terrible. Again, you have to sort of push through all those negative voices and just get on and engage. So I just engaged. I didn't have anything to sell at that point. I was simply writing rather than publishing, and just engage and make those connections. That's actually quite a big part of book promotion. Is I don't get an awful lot of traction from, here's my book. It is available. These are the links. That doesn't really do anything in terms of immediate response. But if I'm chatting about, the day I've had, or ironically, if I'm talking about another book that I've really enjoyed, just being involved in part of the conversation. I mean, it sounds a bit mercenary, but what you're doing is you're making yourself visible.
Yeah.
And actually, it's trying to counteract the mum factor here. It's no good just being a mum. You have got to meet people, and that's what's happening. Twitter in particular, it's been exploded across. I've got writer friends and contacts, on every continent now, which is absolutely amazing. Yeah. So that was quite a big step for me, actually, getting on social media, having the confidence to engage with other randos like your good self.
It's quite another the most rando of them all, but it's interesting because obviously you just said about if you say, hey, here's my book, there's less traction than talking about you, and it kind of links back, I suppose, to what you said about, or what you mentioned about that kind of British, oh look, here's my book, and people are like, okay, here he goes waffling on about his book again. Like, yeah, okay, Tim, we get it. You got a book. Oh yes, I'm so glad that you had a nice croissant and buttery croissant this morning for breakfast. Yeah, oh, I love a croissant. Yeah, we, like no, like it's that general conversation. Maybe people are too afraid that if they interact about something about a book, they're trying to say, yeah, buy a copy, and then they have to turn around and say, oh, maybe later. I just can't find my bank card right now. I don't know, like it's just a social thing, because if people stumble across something themselves, so if they're scrolling through Amazon, and which is obviously algorithm to everything they like, and they say, oh, here you go, read the blurb, this book looks good, click, job done, and they've never met you before, or maybe they have followed you on Twitter, just don't make that connection, then that, I suppose, that's more likely to lead to the sale. So what you're doing is, selling visibility of you, throw in a book post every now and then, because people will still see it, even if they don't interact with it.
I mean, I have a theory that I don't think I'm an advertiser or a marketer, and I think, to be honest with you, my view on this is I think Amazon is probably doing all that work for me and does it a lot better than I ever possibly could. But I think you're right. People are more likely to. So I think Amazon will put it in front of people just because of how that algorithm works. They're more likely to click it if they've heard of you, and so it's that kind of, I suppose, soft marketing visibility. I mean, I've done the pants wettingly terrifying thing of entering competitions. I mean, that's obviously quite an intimidating step. Self-published fantasy blog off my book Call of Bones, my debut. I threw that into into that particular competition. I've actually made the finals on that, which I think, again, major battle of imposter syndrome to get to press send. It is just ridiculous. I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man of the world. I've got achievements. I've got qualifications. I've a successful life. When it comes to submitting an electronic document on a Google page, it just becomes you think I was trying to cross a wall of fire or something. It really is quite odd how often this comes back, and you think you beat, and then it comes back in a different way. But again, what's the worst that could happen? Your book gets bounced out in the first round. I got into the finals of 10 out of 300. I think that's pretty good. I came 10th in the finals, and I don't mind that at all. I think from my point of view, that was being judged against your peers is very scary.
Yeah,
very scary indeed. But at the end of the day, you've got to sort of take those steps, and you have got to be prepared to. It's putting yourself out there in lots of different ways, I suppose. And then doing stuff like this, I would never have dreamt of having a chat on a podcast or on a YouTube, and I've done all those things since. But at the beginning, I couldn't imagine that anyone would want to hear what I had anything to say. And again, imposter syndrome comes back round again, doesn't it? It's in every single decision you make. You just have to choose the positive over the negative, don't you?
You do, and it is finding that. I mean, like I say, it's an interesting turn of phrase there. Kind of, you finished 10th out of the final 10. So they say, well, I've finished 10th. Out of that round of 10, I finished 10th, which almost has that a slight kind of negative on it. But then you expand it out. Well, I came 10th out of 300. That's all of a sudden, that's a wow moment, and something to be very proud of. And congratulations. Stop bragging already. But
stop. It's good to its podcast. On audio only, thank God. Yes.
Audio only. I'll do some imaging of kind of a Megamind head. No, but I suppose the more you do of it, the more used to it you get. So people who have been, I suppose, releasing books, the most confident promotions are the ones that do it a lot, and all of a sudden it becomes kind of second nature. I mean, I think imposter syndrome may never go. Like it's one of those things that it's within you. It's I suppose it's a psychological thing from, I don't know, we've all got something as a trigger, but for me, it was this podcast, but I hate editing this podcast. So I love this. This is what I love.
Yeah.
I will talk to people for hours and hours and have stupid conversations, important conversations. Though this, avid fans of the podcast will know that some episodes are just absolute mayhem, and some actually, fun, obviously, always fun, but tackle kind of subjects. We've done shyness before, and we've done kind of perception of kind of artists and knowing self-worth, and I've done missing socks and quantum mechanics. But so that I can do, but then I have to spend about 3 hours listening to myself back, the same kind of 30-40 minutes editing. And I hate it. I hate it so much. I'm just like, Geoff, you sound like such an idiot. What this person must think of you? Is that sentence? What must this person think of you? You sound like, God, you're breathing too heavily there. Oh, why would you say that? Geoff, you sound very nasally. All these things. And so what happens is I do the editing. Yeah. And all I need to do then is load it up to the site and write the blurb and post it. I can date it a year in the future if I want, but I'll be like, okay, I'll do that tomorrow. And then it's, I haven't quite got time to do it today, so I'll do it. Oh, it's okay because I've said that I'll do it every couple of weeks. So what's an extra couple of days? And this is not you. Don't worry, Tim. This one's going to go out on the 15th. It'll be a really
important date, folks.
But it is part of the same thing of hitting enter to the book competition. I know people who put art, photography, putting it online. It's as soon as it's out there, it floats or sinks or whatever. But what I need to remember is what you said very rightly is, first of all, is the audience that is targeted at going to like it, but do I like it? And I do. It's if it was someone else, I'd listen to this podcast. I'd read my book if I was aged 7 to 11. and had a short attention span, which I do. So some self-promotion there, Tim. You should try it. Yeah, and I think imposter syndrome and being a creative person, they don't go hand in hand. It's a war, isn't it?
It is a war. It's interesting, actually. I was about to say, I think in a weird way, it's also quite useful. So there's a facet of imposter syndrome that is helpful, because if you think about it, if you have the opposite of imposter syndrome, then you think everything you do is brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, there do come risks with that. So if you're a writer and you think to yourself, you don't take any kind of outside input, you don't take any sort of pay much attention to what's going on in the wider literary world in my sort of circle, you think, I'm simply a genius and I shall tap away and produce this thing. And you might be a genius. You might be what you produce might be the next great novel of the 21st century, but it's much, much more likely you're delusional. So you do need to have that ability to have. For me, I think writers are quite critical, and going through editing and so on it requires critical skills. But you need to be self-critical to a point to improve, but not so self-critical you burn the thing rather than releasing it to the world. So it's almost like a little break, and it's about the fact you need to have enough of the brakes on to get the best possible version of what you're writing out there. But if you put the brakes on too hard, it stifles your creativity.
Yeah.
And if you have no brakes, you're going to crash. So I think that I wouldn't quite go as far as to say imposter syndrome is a bad thing. I think you just need to know how to use it properly.
And God, Tim, you're just such a clever fellow. You should write a book, because
what I'm going to do.
You're going to do that. There's I've got a long-term friend, very good friend of mine. But over the years, so I do self-confidence and things. People, because I'm quite I suppose outgoing, but I'm also quite shy. Like, I always worry about what I'll do. So I'll at the fall, but I always worry about it's I don't know, it's odd. But I've done stand-up comedy, I've written a book, I do this podcast. I can't sing, so I'd give it a go. But everything that I've done, I have this friend who's very confident in themselves, probably overconfident. And every time I've done something, so when I was doing stand-up comedy, I might give that a go. I might do that. Okay, never did.
Yeah,
and would have and almost did, but then was very I'll just wing it. And it's just something you can't do in stand-up. Well, you can. It just won't go over right in the book. I've got this idea, and never actually comes of anything. And maybe it's not because they couldn't or can't, but because they haven't got that internal barrier, thinking, well, I'll do this and see how it goes, and then keeps pushing. Almost like confident people maybe want it too easy. And this is an overgeneralization, I appreciate that. But if you've got that kind of bolshy confidence, kind of just be as expectation that you can do it, it's going to be good first time. So you tap away. Yeah. It comes out perfect. There you go, job done. When actually it's a little bit more stop, start, nitty gritty, revising, editing, and all this. So I think, you kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, there you go. That's this is what this podcast brings. It brings in-depth thought and mind-blowing wisdom to the masses, doesn't it?
Only your episodes, Tim.
Oh, right, is that right? The others, yeah. We never found those socks, basically.
The mind-blowing wisdom. I've really enjoyed this conversation, because I'm very much someone who I can give someone advice. I will give you advice on everything. I would tell you about your nutrition and diet and exercise. And I have only just recently given up smoking after 25 years. I am overweight, and I've got a gym subscription, and I don't know, I went for the first time this year, the other day. I'm that guy. Those who can teach, those who can do, those who can't teach. I am the teach person, and I can't even do that very well. But this conversation and conversations like this, I think, just kind of levels out. It lets you kind of understand. I mean, self-evaluation's important. in whatever it is you do. But I think especially as a creationist, no, someone. this podcast has taken a turn now, I'm afraid. Especially as people who create any art form, you need to be, I think, self-aware enough that it's not perfect, it's not for everyone, and also that it's okay, and don't worry about kind of other people and what they think. It's your audience that you're going for. Put out the best product you can, be happy with it, and tell people about it, but tell the right people about it.
That is basically it in a nutshell.
That is. Now, I think I've figured out then how we make book promotion and everything that comes with it, the impostor better. And it's Tim Hardie's next book is Tim Hardie explains how to promote a book and get past imposter syndrome. Like just write a book on it, Tim. Like everything we've just spoken about. Just write a book on it.
Yeah, or record it quickly in a podcast to save you the hassle. We could do that, Geoff, couldn't we?
We'll do a series where, of a series of podcasts where I kind of don't want to do something, but you then tell me why it's a good idea that I do it, and I do it. Hey, that's a good idea.
Wow. Yeah. It's like Tim and Geoff become self-aware, something like that.
Tim and Geoff become self-aware. No one's listening to that. I don't care if it's the right audience. Tim and Geoff become self-aware. It sounds like one of those American stoner movies, it's a Netflix documentary where we just go and try all the different drugs in the world.
Yes, and, I think that there's a danger. But what we're doing now is we're creating a bridge to where my literary career basically founders and falls apart under your bad influence there.
Take it. I would take it in. Yeah. Okay. If the author career doesn't take off, I take full responsibility, Tim. But on that note, I mean, I maybe not made it better. I think we've had a fantastic conversation. I think that by listening to this, actually, that's the answer. So whilst we haven't come up with a way to make it, just if people listen to this episode, they will get the knowledge from you, certainly not from me, of how to promote their book. And it's essentially get over yourself, in the words of Tim Hardie.
I think that's quite a good summary. Yeah, you have to understand the battle you're in and what holds you back, and you have to work hard. Put in strategies to sort of counter that. And use self-criticism, creatively, but in small doses, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Beautiful. That's completely unrelated. Please enlighten us. What is it that you're working on at the moment?
Gosh, Geoff, that's it's incredible. So what we're now going to do, audience folks, is actually put into just everything that we have just discussed. So it just turns out, Geoff, that I've just finished writing a novel.
No.
It's called A Quiet Vengeance, and it's due to be published on the 15th of April.
I mean, it sounds great. What? Quick, give us the blurb.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick rundown. So new novel. It's set in the same fantasy world I've used for my other books, the Brotherhood of the Eagle series, but I've shifted the action to a new continent. So this one's got a much more Middle Eastern, North African kind of flavour to it, and it's a standalone. So the idea is that you don't have to read my first series to go in. This is another way into the world. Basically, you can pick up from the start. So it's got royal court politics and intrigue mixed together with life on the other side of the social spectrum, with criminal gangs, plots and assassinations. Very much a book, I think, if you like character-led, character-driven fantasy rather than action-heavy stuff. This is probably more the book for you. And at its heart, it's really about sort of the secrets that we have from our past, and how those eventually kind of catch up with us, and what happens when they do. So it's got quite a psychological element to it as well from that point of view. I think it's a bit of a departure from sort of the cold Viking esque fantasy I've done previously. But you know, if you wanted insight into the wider world that I've been working on and creating over that last 15, 20 years, this would be a great place to start.
Wow. I say you kind of recommend this as a kind of almost an introduction to the wider world that you've created as well.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think you could start from either direction. Read the full series. It's like a tangent off there, but you know, you could also start in the other continent and think, well, you could expand the opposite way and go into the stuff I've written previously, basically.
Thanks. And where can we pick up the book on the 15th?
So yeah, on the 15th of April, it'll be available on Amazon. So I'm basically exclusively tied to them at the moment. So ebook and paperback format. And yeah, A Quiet Vengeance, if you didn't catch the title earlier on.
Quiet Vengeance by Tim Hardie. Well, I'll have the link in the bio to this episode. I wish you all the best luck. Cracking guy, and I'm sure it's going to be great. I won't read it, but I'll tell everyone else to.
Well, that's all I can ask, Geoff.
There you go. No, I'll be certain to pick up my book, Tim. And it's been a pleasure to have you back on. Our first ever repeat guest.
Cool.
So hopefully it was as memorable as the last time. Yeah, all the best with A Quiet Vengeance and everything else, and promoting. Yeah,
well, it starts today, obviously. Right. Thanks for having me, Geoff. It's great.
No, thank you. And thank you to everyone for your time and listening to me and Tim waffle on today. We've made something else better, I hope, or Tim certainly has. All that's left to say is thank you very much, and it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Tim. Say goodbye, Tim.
Goodbye. Thank you.